Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for your opportunity to come and have lunch and listen to me speak to you this afternoon. Have an exciting topic to talk about. I know that all of you that are here were expecting the dashing and debonair Tom Decker. Unfortunately, he had some circumstances that prevented him from coming to this to the show and be able to make this presentation. But now you're stuck with me. So I apologize for that, but we'll go through this presentation, talking a little bit about our passion that has a payoff, some recent accomplishments of the federal excise tax payments. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Bob Curry. I'm with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I'm the Deputy Assistant Director for the Wildlife Sportfish Restoration Program out of Washington, D.C., and I basically serve as the Chief Operating Officer for the Wildlife and Sportfish Restoration Program for the Fish and Wildlife Service. Today's presentation is about strengthening the relationships among the industry, our state and federal organizations that make up the Wildlife and Sportfish Restoration Partnership. And we want to make sure that you increase and understand what's happening with the funding. So I want to start today with a few slides about the Fish and Wildlife and Sportfish Restoration Program because it's important that you have the background about what happens with that program. I've been an avid angler and been in sport fishing for over 32 years, and so this is a very vital program. It's vital for states to keep the funding work that they need to do for providing access and providing fisheries management. I'm going to be using the acronym WSFR, WSFR. It stands for the Wildlife Sportfish Restoration Program, which includes wildlife and sport fish. The Wildlife Sportfish, the WSFR program is the primary granting division of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We have over $1 billion in dollars in manufacturer excise taxes and sales or not sales tax, but motorboat fuel taxes that go to wildlife agencies annually. We have approximately 100 employees in the WSFR program. We do have some other functions. One of them specifically is a national survey of hunting, fishing, and wildlife-associated recreation, which a lot of states use to gather data on how they need to focus their resources. And most of you in here already know where the excise tax comes from firearms, ammunition, archery, and equipment. Fishing equipment and electric trolling motors, import taxes on pleasure boats and yachts, and certainly the fuel tax for motorboats and small engines. Folks have to apply for grants to be able to get the money for the states, and those are reviewed typically by the federal aid coordinators. There are a lot of programs that are associated with the WSFR program. What you see here are really 4 of them that we're going to be focused on. That we'll have some discussion a little bit today with our partner with the Payoff program. We're going to touch a little bit on wildlife restoration, but our focus today is going to be on sport fish restoration, Clean Vessel Act, and boating infrastructure, which are part of the Sportfish Restoration Boating Trust Fund. There's lots of other grants that are out there that we manage. You see the ones that are up there. Tribal wildlife, white nose syndrome, they're Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, and others, so including the State Wildlife Grant Program. So here's a bit about what some of the sport fish, what excise taxes can be used to fund. On the sport fish side, they can use for restoration of species. They can be used for surveying and monitoring, gathering data and information on various species. Stocking can be used for rearing and stocking fish, and certainly habitat protection and improvement. You can use the funds for acquiring property. Typically, it's acquiring property that's going to benefit habitat for sport fish or benefit waters that are adjacent to sport fish waters it's going to benefit, or it's for boating access, building boating access areas. All right, this particular slide shows the PRDJ, the Pittman-Robertson Dingle-Johnson Wildlife and Sportfish Restoration Partnership. It's made up of 3 entities. Basically, it's state agencies. Here you see the logos largely from the Northeast for those states who are part of the partnership, but it's national. So it's all the state fish and wildlife agencies, including the territories. It's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, particularly the WSFR program, the Wildlife Sportfish Restoration Program, and our industry partners, including ASA, NMMA, RBFF, and AFTA. on the aquatic side. Also includes National Shooting Sports Foundation and others. But I want to move now into the Partner with a Payer program. This is a new program that, relatively new. It started about 5 years ago in our Northeast regional, and in conjunction with the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. So we're working with these objectives in mind. First, we want to increase awareness. We want to increase awareness by the manufacturers about the successes that are achieved through the excise tax funds. We want to increase the manufacturer access to the success stories, what the funds are actually being used for, so that they can share that information with their customers. We want to increase understanding by state and WSFR staff of the manufacturers and the critical role that the manufacturers play in getting the products out there and getting that, particularly those that are taxed, and the funding comes to the State Fish and Wildlife Agency. And we want to strengthen the relationship between the Fish and Wildlife Service, the states, and the manufacturers. So those are the goals of the Partner with a Payer program, the objectives. So relative to the DJ and Sportfish restoration program, the kinds of information that you can find on the website with a Partner with a Payer includes the information that you see here. So what's achieved with the excise taxes. We have over 200 fish species that are conserved or managed, 6,439 access sites for boating and fishing, 1.3 billion fish are stocked. Typically that includes about 70 different species. 316 state fish hatcheries are operated and maintained, and 169 boat ramps were constructed in just the last 5 years. Another important piece of all of that is the educating and connecting the people to nature. Over 1.4 million students were educated in aquatic resources annually. A lot of that's the R3 grants, the recruitment, retention, and reactivation. Many of you in here are already familiar with that. Right now we have about 198 grants that are associated with aquatic R3 to try to recruit new anglers into the program and educate them. There's basically, there are two major components. I want to switch over and talk a little bit about a Partner with a Payer program. The approach is two-pronged. First, there's tours of manufacturing facilities, and with that, we're basically, in these slides here, show the manufacturing tours. The idea that this is mostly with the states, Fish and Wildlife Service, and the manufacturer to help the states understand how the taxable items are manufactured and how they play a critical role in making how conservation happen on the ground. And it's also an opportunity to just sit down and for folks to be able to talk and get to understand what the issues are and get to know folks better. So the tour is largely with the state folks and the industry folks. And then the other piece of it that's critical is tours of going out and doing tours. I think I may have, back up one more time. Nope. Yeah, tours of manufacturers. Sorry about that. Then the second piece of the component is tours with WSFR-funded projects. Certainly on the wildlife side, they've done a lot of that with wildlife, largely with bears and bear tagging. But there's other opportunities on the fishing side. Initially, the program started out on the wildlife side, but we're really looking at trying to increase opportunities on the Sportfish restoration side. We want to see folks to be able to see firsthand the differences that tax makes and how it works. We can do tours of fish hatcheries. Obviously, there's a lot of fish. We mentioned earlier, 1.3 billion that goes into the water, so there's tours of fish hatcheries. I encourage our industry partners to be looking for these Partner with a Payer programs that are coming up and try to get engaged in those. Other opportunities include accompanying state biologists on their research and survey field activities. This allows the industry partners to see the details of what it takes to perform sound fisheries management and research activities. Depending on state and time of year, you could be sampling giant striped bass and putting radio collars in them, or not radio collars, but radio tags in them so we can follow them around and see the habitats that they use. You could be involved in a seine project where we're gathering information about young juvenile fish to gain more information about spawning and success in year class strength. You could be building fish habitat for trout in streams, and maybe even out on electrofishing boats sampling smallmouth bass for population data. And of course, we also have activities that go along with it that's funded by the program, the Sportfish Restoration Boating Trust Fund, boating access areas, fishing piers, and big marinas, and Clean Vessel Act pump out facilities. So depending on time of year and what's going on, you can get involved with those. Each time we go out and have one of these events, we put together these little documents that help folks to understand better what's going on. Of course, since COVID-19, we pretty much curtailed most of that activity, but we're starting to gear that back up. We also try to put together stories. This is a story about construction placement of artificial reefs in Georgia. It was designed to improve fishing for tuna, wahoo, sea bass, amberjack, cobia, and groupers. Georgia has 31 artificial reefs covering over 80 square miles. This particular success story is an article about that's led by Oklahoma fisheries biologists. This project was in 13 states from New York to North Carolina up to Minnesota, gathering information on smallmouth bass to help folks be able to understand those populations better. Another story that we have in the article is this one is about outstanding benefits of 7 grants in Texas, providing public benefits for boating and fishing. It was started in 2000. It was designed for big boats and nearshore anglers as well. There were new sanitary. This was a unique project because it included boating infrastructure grants, Clean Vessel Act grants. It included city partnerships with the city of Corpus Christi, and it included Sportfish restoration funds. Total funding was $1.7 million for this project. All right, this story is in New Jersey, talks about angling and boating opportunities and habitat work that was done. This was started, began as the offshore habitat management in '84 and has 17 artificial reefs between 20 and 160 feet in depth. It includes 18 boat ramps and 21 car top launch areas. So that's another success story. This one is a story about how comprehensive the Sportfish Restoration Program is aimed at highlighting boating and fishing opportunities that exist nationally. There are over 6,400 boating access areas that are operated and maintained using Sportfish restoration funds. So all of these articles are available to see on our Partner with a Payer website. And here you see the website, partnerwithapayer.org. I want to encourage you to try to go to that website. We have some cards up here that have a link to the website. Hope you can get access to that. These news stories, and also we have videos on there. The particular one that you're seeing here or seeing highlights on is Enduring Partnerships. It's a little over 2 minutes, but it's an excellent video that's put together that highlights the partnership between the manufacturers and the work that's done on the ground. And you can go to industry partners, you can go to the Partner with a Payer website, and you can put this kind of information together. So if you have a handout, you want to have an activity, or you want something that you want to do, this is a resource. That information is there, and we'll be able to put together particular information that you want to hand out. So far, the Partner with a Payers had 21 events. There have been 10 facility tours, 11 field visits. Again, most of this occurred prior to COVID coming on. Over 400 people were engaged, 37 agencies and organizations that you see there. So, you know, the program is just starting now to gear up. Again, it initially focused on wildlife, but it's been really starting to change its focus to look at getting on the aquatic side, particularly on the sportfish restoration side. So with that, I want to say thank you to our partners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate that. And especially thank you for the partners that we have here, and especially ASA. So with that, again, I'll thank you. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions. We do have on the table up here, we have little index cards that has the Partner with a Payer website. Please take one of those so that you can get on that website, maybe put some information in there that'll help us know more about your industry and what particularly you do. And there's a couple of handouts out there that we had at our booth that talks about the summary of some of some of the great work that's being done in conservation that's provided by the excise tax. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
And I'll actually just add, I'm Liz Ogilvie with ASA, by the way, and I have been working on the Partner with a Payer program for the sport fishing industry side. We were really disappointed when COVID hit and we had to curtail all of our plans, but we do have 2 programs in the works, and one is with St. Croix Rods, so that'll be up in Wisconsin, and then another one with Lowrance and Navico out in Oklahoma. Oklahoma? Yeah, I think so. Yes, Tulsa. So we're really excited to have those going and to really get the sport fishing industry involved in all of that. So it's a great program. Anyone have any questions?
Ask away. There were. Hi, Bob.
Hello.
You rattled off a few names, and it's probably back on one of those early slides, but it was boating infrastructure grants. And I was there was one project that you were mentioning early on.
Corpus Christi one with the CVA, Clean Vessel Act.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was
Yeah.
trying to remember.
Yeah, that particular project, uh-oh. That one? Yeah, that was a big one. It involved a lot of different projects. Part of the Sport Fishing Boating Partnership, Sport Fishing, Sport Fish Restoration and Boating Trust Fund includes big boating infrastructure grants, BIG, and Clean Vessel Act, CVA grants.
Okay.
And this particular project incorporated just regular sport fish restoration boating funds, big funds, CVA funds, funds from the city. So it was a very, very multi-partnership project.
Okay, I just missed clean
Yep,
vessel.
Clean Vessel.
Anyone else?
Any of the states out there want to have anything that they would like to add or contribute to partnership with PAIR or what's going on in the states?
So not exactly the same side of the fence, but I'm Scott Lavin with Arizona Game and Fish. We just had a partner with the PAIR event with Ruger for the hunting and shooting side, but these things really work. They help break down the communication. I came from the industry prior to working for State Wildlife Agency, and they just don't teach the employees of these manufacturers and retailers what's going on and how conservation is funded. And it's a real shame because I could have made a lot more money selling a lot more product if I could have told that story.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anything else? I can go back and go through it a little bit slower if you'd like.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.